Okay, so we move forward with the next block, which is about product end of life and sustainability. And I'll leave the stage to Paola.
Thank you very much. So we move into a different territory. So we saw innovations, and now I will be speaking about policies and legislations. I've been working for more than 12, 15 years on circular economy at the European Commission, on legislations precisely, and I have, in this context, I've been collaborating with Contarina Academy. Contarina is a public-owned company responsible for the waste management of the Treviso province. And they have, among other things, developed an area of work which is dealt with by the Academy. And the aim is to provide information and share best practices on circular economy and how to promote and how to explain, translate in some cases, I would say, and then you will see the complexity of the policies and the legislations that happens at European level, and translate it into common language and into actions for companies that work in the field. So I hope that some of the information that I will be sharing will resonate with your work. And I would start directly with the bigger picture. When we talk about policies for textiles at European level, you want to have in mind two main documents: the Circular Economy Action Plan, developed in 2020, and the European Strategy for Sustainable and Circular Textiles, developed in 2022. What is important of the strategy, for example, is that it sets a series of actions with an horizon at least to 2030, so we are exactly in the time frame where things should happen, and hopefully will happen. When I talk about what are these initiatives, the main areas are directly linked to the topic of my session, so the product and the end of life. I was very happy to hear before and to see the presentation of Henry referring to circular economy, because you will know that when you talk about circular economy, you need to start from the product and the eco-design. So this is what exactly we are going to do. First, why do we need to translate what happens at European level and legislations level? For the textile sector, some of you might know Euratex is the European Association of Textiles. And a couple of years ago, they have screened all the legislations that was in preparation at European level, and they identified at least 16 pieces of legislations that would relate to the sector. Here are these pieces of legislations, and then there's an additional one that is upcoming, the Circular Economy Act. It's expected in 2026. So you understand better than anyone else that if you have to see the impact of these legislations and in which area and how your day work will be transformed, you need to spend quite some time. And then this is where precisely this activity of Academy comes in, and trying to give an idea of the different initiatives in simple terms. Today, I will give you a few information on the major piece of legislations that affect eco-design, and it's the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products Regulation. It's important to stress the fact that it is a regulation. It was already adopted and it's already entered into force in 2024. It is a regulation, so it means that it is directly applicable to companies. So you can really go through the different provisions and understand how this impacts your work. It's a piece of legislation that aims to make sustainable products the norm. It sets some requirements for performance and information with the aim to increase the sustainability of products. Which products are we talking? Because you know that then you can set requirements, but you definitely need to go into the specificity of each product, especially when we see that these requirements will concern the recycled content, water use and efficiency, resource use, the environmental footprint, energy use, possibility to reuse the product, assess the durability, ensures that there is maintenance and refurbishment, possibility of remanufacturing. So depending on the products, these requirements will vary. So the regulation itself does not give detail linked to the product. This is why we need to adopt a working plan that sets different category products that will be developed with the specific requirements. In legislations, you start with a regulation, then you have what we call the delegated act. These delegated acts are the pieces of legislation that gives the details, in the case, for example, of textiles or apparel, of recycled content per category product. One that is really relevant to your sector is clearly the delegated act that was set as priority on textiles and apparel. It is expected in 2026. It means that at the European Commission, they are working on these requirements. It does not include the footwear yet, but what you might want to keep in mind is that there is a study that is ongoing that assesses the potential for environmental sustainability of the footwear. And we saw in the presentation, and I think we will see also later in the afternoon, how you work on this potential and how you work to make this potential a reality. So understanding what is the legislation that will regulate this area seems quite important. This study is expected by the end of 2027. So you might want to look for information on the work of the Commission and the Joint Research Center that is not too far from here. It's in Ispra, so it's in Lombardy region. But they publish precisely this study, so you will be able to have a little bit more of information of what or how the legislations will regulate the area, the sector in the future. There's also another element that I think is quite important under the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation is the digital product passport. So you know that to trace the materials along the supply chains and other aspects in order to increase recyclability and then reuse of the materials, you need to know what's in the product in quite a lot of details. So this regulation sets out requirements to have this digital product passport, so it would be made available at different level, different type of information for different type of actors along the supply chain. Directly linked to the eco-design regulation and to this delegated act are the category rules that businesses can develop to assess the product environmental footprint. Now, for textile, for apparel and footwear, we have an initiative that was supported by the European Commission, but certainly developed by businesses, and you have in the slides the major businesses that contributed to develop these category rules. These category rules are specific rules that allows for 13 apparel and footwear categories, you have here some examples, to measure the impacts, 16 specific impacts. So impacts of a t-shirt along its life cycle, on water use, for example, or on human toxicity or resource use. It has been a work that lasted for, I would say, the past 3 years, so very long. It's a long process of consultation, assessment, measurements. But these specific rules have been made available now since April. They allow comparability of the same type of product. This also means at the company level cost optimization, because you are able to identify the hotspots of the impacts along the life cycle of your product. It also means then you can work with the eco-design, so the delegated act that I was mentioning before under the regulation will look into these rules and understand where to set some specific provisions to allow reductions or facilitate the reduction of such impacts. And the major advantage of these rules are that they provide a common framework. So different companies can indeed assess the status and the impacts of their own product vis-a-vis another brand. But the most important element, I would say, of this work was the collaboration of different brands, because precisely there was a consensus that a similar framework of rules was necessary. Otherwise, you just contribute to the chaos by coming up with your own methodology that in the end, the consumers is the one who pays the price of the confusions of sustainability labels that are different, and then you really don't know. So as a company, I think in the sense of competition and responsibilities towards ensuring that your product is correctly assessed and provides real sustainability advantages, I think you want to look into these category rules and see how they match with your products. So these two elements, the regulation, the eco-design regulation, the delegated act, and the category rules, touches upon eco-design, so the production, the first part. But allow me to go immediately at the end. So we have produced, we have sold, we have distributed, we have used the product. We arrive at the end. For textiles and footwear, in terms of legislations, the Commission has recently, you see it was in September 2025, so just a couple of months ago, adopted a revision of the Waste Framework Directive, which is a directive that regulates for Europe the waste management. Specifically for textiles and footwear, with the aim to accelerate waste preventions and then improve, further promote circular economy, so the availability of recycled material in the end, and being able to reuse them. A new series of provisions. I think one of the most interesting is the provisions related to the extended producer responsibilities for textiles and footwear. We'll see in a minute the details. The revision also provided for some general rules on textiles waste management and a link with some requirements for the shipment of textiles that can be reused. So in the detail of the extended producer responsibility for textiles, the revision makes them mandatory at European level, and they need to be established by April 2028. Micro-enterprises have 12 additional months for participating in these EPR schemes. I don't know if you are aware of what an EPR scheme is. In a second, it's a scheme that puts on the producers the responsibility for the product that it has been put on the market. So for the impact, and this is why the link with measuring your impacts makes sense. The scope of this mandatory provision for the textiles is on household textiles, so general apparel, but also on footwear. So this is where it comes, your sector. The producer that will be made responsible in a mandatory way for these schemes are producers of textiles that are made available on the market, on the European market, for the first time within the territory of a member state. They ensure, as I said, the aim of the schemes is to ensure that the producers cover the cost of collection and management of used and waste textiles. So all the terminology here is quite specific and then of course is clarified in the piece of legislation. In practice, it means that the producer of textiles must register with what we call a PRO, so a producer responsibility organization. The producer responsibility organization is the organization that will be responsible for collecting the waste and making it available, making available the material or the products for recycling. The fee to register to this PRO will be modulated, and we say eco-modulated because it will be eco-modulated based on the eco-design requirements, on the measurements that I was indicating before. So you see that even on legislations we are getting quite circular because we don't only see and cater for the product at the end of its life cycle, but we ensure that when we start designing it, we already know that we will have to pay based on what will not be able to be recycled or recuperated by a PRO. So it's quite a complex system, and this is why it will take some time. In terms of time, as I said, the PROs, there are more or less 30 PROs currently for textiles in Europe. So you make the calculation, it would seem almost one per member state, but in fact in Italy there are 8, for example. So in some countries, in France there's 1. So some countries have already made it national harmonization, others are still to go towards that way. But you know, it seems 2 years, a long time. In fact, as you can imagine, it's not to set up these systems. Also because there are still some legislation, pieces of legislation that are missing. The eco-design requirements, as I said, that they will come in 2026, and the eco-modulation fees also that will be set based on these requirements. So I think I would not say that you might expect delays, but still I think that in this case, the sooner you start integrating these elements, the better you will be placed. And this is actually valid a lot for the ministries, national ministries, and this is why at European level there's a lot of discussion on that and promotion of this change in situation. I was saying that so this revision also proposed some rules on textiles waste management, which became mandatory for separate collections from last year, 1st of January 2025. The revision also ensures that the textiles that is separately collected is considered waste at the moment of collections. This is quite an important element to ensure that then they can be reclassified as a product. Clearly, the sorting operations need to be ensured to be in line with the waste hierarchy. And then there are some provisions, as I was saying, for shipment of used textiles, and mainly the obligation for inspections and prior to sorting requirements by the producers, by the exporters, sorry. So this is also an element of interest. And we come to the end of waste and also to the end. In connections with these revisions, what is also important is to identify a moment when you can actually determine that a waste is, that a product is a waste, so then it can become again a product. So for this, there are some sorting requirements that needs to be developed at Commission level, the European Commission level. They are, of course, a priority. It's also something that is being worked currently. We have a timeline here. There have been a series of stakeholders workshops to really promote the consultation and understanding and receiving the inputs of the operators. Also, this work started several years ago. If you are interested in understanding more about this, you might want to register next week. There is one final workshop organized by the European Commission and the JRC, the Joint Research Center, to discuss and to present the state of art of the draft legislations for end-of-waste criteria for textiles. And the tentative date for adopting these final sets of criteria is at the end of 2026. So, just to summarize, you want to keep an eye on your calendar. If you are interested in end-of-waste criteria, ensure that you register for this workshop next week. If you are interested in the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, keep in mind that there will be delegated rule on textiles and a study on footwear in 2027. Study on footwear is important because the ESPR requirements linked to extend the producer responsibility schemes that are mandatory by 2028 with the eco-modulation fees will be based on this study on footwear. And I think the most important is if you want to find out more about how to measure the impact of your product, don't forget this product environmental footprint, apparel and footwear, that will assess different categories and different impact. So with this, I finished my presentation, and then I really wanted also to take the opportunity to thank you, because for what I saw and also the energy that I saw before, I think you are really much into innovation, and I think that from a legislation point of view, there's an enormous need to reach out and to exchange with the innovators, because you do see things in a different way, and legislations when it comes to circular economy, when you have to re-engineering the way you build and you produce, the synergies with the world of the new minds is really necessary. So I'm really looking forward to this exchange. Thank you.
Thank you.